Hi YouTube, it's 14th of June. You can see a tripod. I don't think you can see much more, just a glare, but I'm time framing the sky, so I'm using the Mac. So I wasn't looking at the camera, looking at me now. Using the Mac camera, so I'm sorry if the quality is not as good because it's the laptop built-in one. I went round a friend's house last night and we had an interesting conversation regarding the euro. And while we was having a conversation, my friend pointed out some things, and we realised that there's been a problem reaction solution playing out in the Europe zone. And also, if you put plastic bits on the end of your thing and do that, it activates, and I've just found that out. Sorry. But apparently there's a guy who was to do with the, I think the idea of the euro. I can't think exactly what he was talking about. But the euro was destined to fail from the beginning because centralisation of the economy needed to happen, i.e. we've all got the same, Italy's got the same currency as Spain, Spain's got the same currency as France, but there's no centralisation for the economy, for the banking rules, for the rules and regulations. So everyone's got the same currency but are under different constraints. So due to that, it's not going to work anyway, right? He predicted this from day one. Which would make sense because there's this other thing in a problem reaction solution that my mate pointed out. He said, well, I've heard rumours that if the Eurozone collapses, they might take on sterling. I was like, what? He says, well, the whole of the Eurozone might just take on sterling. I was like, no, what? That's like creating the Eurozone. Right? I doubt if they'd use American dollars, and I doubt if they'd use China, is it yen, whatever. But it's quite a fucking worrying concept, isn't it? Right? So they knew the Eurozone weren't going to work, so they've made it collapse in order to fucking constrain more of the world. And really, if the Eurozone does collapse, they need to offer a currency. Or, countries, how are countries going to go back to their original currency? How's that value going to happen with the gold and silver and all that sort of crap? Because it's not a reliable currency, is it? So they're going to probably use a currency that already exists, which is one step closer to putting a fucking chip in your arm. So can you imagine if Europe take on sterling? We're in the Eurozone. Europe's been created. They've got their goal. Well done. Clap, 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 clap. Because we wouldn't join it. So created a collapse, right? Knowing full well that this will not work. People will go, oh, what a load of shit, rah, 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 rah. And then problem, reaction, solution. Well, the economy collapses in the Eurozone, and then America will panic because their European interests are not, and England will panic because half of our fucking stuff comes from over there. And, the other side of the fucking world will panic, etc., etc. So they need some kind of, and also it's tourism. We all go to fucking Spain, we all go to France and Italy and all that. It's our closest sort of like holiday zone. It's quite scary really, because if they introduce sterling into all these countries, they've actually introduced what they originally wanted from the beginning, and we've all been fighting against, just like that, from someone's reaction. So it's kind of if it doesn't fail, we're still in the sort of shit that we're in now. And if it fails, then we're going to be under the rules and regulations that originally wanted from the original plan to begin with, if you get me. So I don't know if anyone else has heard about that, about the Eurozone and about collapse, and has anyone actually thought about that? How would you feel if the whole Eurozone area all of a sudden become sterling? That's fucking worrying, man. It's more than worrying, because that actually will degrade our fucking currencies. Right? It's just fucking, not that any of it's that important, to be honest with you, but what a fucking mess. Also, I'm time-lapsing the sky. I'm sorry that the time-lapses are on an angle when you see them. It's just that I can get more of the sky in if I put the camera on its side to sort of get from horizon to ceiling. Most video cameras haven't got a very sort of wide focal lens, and my Nikon has, but I can't put an SLR lens onto my video camera at present. I think there's an adapter you can put on so you can get the depth of field right. If I could use that, then we'd see the whole fucking sky, because it's horizon. I'm near enough over the snotty nose now. I'm still smoking electronic cigarettes. I've also got a new flavour. What's it? Cigarweed. It's kind of sweet. What I do now is I buy the cartridges and then I either dip them. You do the condom thing, don't you? You kind of fill that bit up with liquid and then you dip the cartridge in and fill the liquid up. Or you can pull that top bit out and fill it up from the top there. This one's full up actually. The thing is, you can overfill them and it gets exciting. But that's it really. I just found that quite an interesting concept. What are people's thoughts on that? Please have a like.